This is the lower Gauley. We're taking out an upper Swiss. I'm starting this video at Mason's Branch. It's probably more common to put in further down at Woods Ferry, but you get some nice stuff putting in at Mason's Branch. I think most people don't do it because the parking fills up pretty quickly at Mason's Branch, the shuttle is worse, and also the lower Gauley is already 13 or 14 miles. After some real mellow stuff, you come to this surf wave right here. You can stay on this one for ages if you want to. It does want to wash you off the back, so you got to watch out for that, but it's really nice. You can surf this surfer's right shoulder too. You have to do a little more work to stay on that. Sometimes you'll see stand-up paddle boards out here surfing this thing. Yeah, really good surf. The first real rapid you'll come to is called Gillespies. There's a really nice kayak surf in this one as well. The water just kind of feeds right back into this hole right here, so once you get into the spot, it's pretty easy to just, stay in there and spin around and around. Down at the bottom of this rapid, there's a raft surf hole that used to be super popular on upper Gauley trips. Like, it was kind of like the second Hungry Mother. There was a death in there though, and the companies kind of stopped doing it. It was, like, I think from what I've heard, pre-existing medical conditions were a pretty big factor in that incident, but people did get body research sometimes in that hole, so this is the hole right up here. After another stretch of pretty chill stuff, you'll come to this rapid right here. This line down the left is pretty straightforward. Over on the right, Peyton showed me this line here. You kind of get up on this pillow, the balance is pretty weird. He tells me that rock on the left there is undercut down deep enough, but that is not really a factor at these flows, I guess. I don't really know. I've just taken his word for it. And then coming around these rocks here, there is some wood, but if you just go through that slot on the left, it's pretty chill. Next rapid is Fluffy Box of Kittens. This one's mostly known for having a hole hiding out in a pretty gentle looking wave train that'll flip a raft if you hit it just right. In a kayak, Peyton showed me this surf hole here. He tells me it's a really good one for doing loops. I'm not even good at doing loops in a playboat. I haven't really figured out what to do in there in my creek boat yet. Also, the Fluffy Box of Kittens move is actually a pretty fun boof over on the left corner. Like, sometimes you can boof it far enough left that you kind of land in the eddy over there. Sometimes you kind of land in the big curl and you have to be ready for it to sort of throw you around. Next rapid's called Woods Ferry. This one has a pretty long entrance with some hole dodging. Just kind of weave between them. There's plenty of ways to go through it. I usually do something like this, kind of move left and then back to the right. And then at the bottom, there's like a pretty big hole over on the left. So I try to kind of catch like just the right corner of it, like right in here, so I'm not too much in it. And then I move left. There's a spot over on the right there that'll flip a raft. That thing just there on the right, it's called Julie's Juicer. Here's a shot of a raft going into that one. It's kind of a weird little downstream flip. It happens pretty fast, so if you're rafting there, you want to watch out for that. There's a line to the right of that juicer rock that you can take in a kayak. I don't think it's any better or any worse than the normal line. It's just a little different. The rock on the right in there is undercut though, so for rafts, I don't think it's considered a great alternative to avoid the juicer line. Then you'll pass the Woods Ferry access on River Right, so if that's where you're starting, then this is where you'll start your trip. Next rapid is called Ender Waves. Just some great big waves in here. You can just go right down the middle of them or kind of cheat off the right corners of them if you want to. There's actually a really fun surf in here too if you had you out on the left. It's just a fast, fun wave surf. After Ender Waves, it chills out for quite a while, it feels like. There's rapids in there, but they're not particularly challenging even compared to some of the stuff that we've already seen. And I don't know of any like really cool moves to do in there or anything. The next major rapid is Backender. This one's got some really big waves in it. You can just go right down the middle. Down at the bottom, if you want to plug that last big wave, you can, or if you kind of point your boat to the right and catch the lateral to the right of it, that gives you a smoother line through there. After a little more easier stuff, you got to Koontz's Flume. This one looks pretty steep from up above. It's kind of like hard to pick out where you want to run it, but there's plenty of places where it goes just fine. That first raft ran kind of a bumpy line down the left. That second raft is taking a line where you take like kind of one big hit and then you kind of end up over on the right, sort of where the Flume is. And the Flume is what this third raft is taking, just kind of like way over on River Right. There's like a fast shoot of water with some big waves. I think that's the most fun place to run it, in a kayak at least. On my entrance, I like to weave around the right side of this hole coming up here, and that seems to put me in just about the right spot. I move maybe just a tiny little bit back left, but you can see on those boulders to the right that you don't want to get too close to them, and then just kind of come down this steep, big waves. It's a lot of fun. I really like that line. I thought the other day that hole in the lead-in might be a real nice kayak surf. I've gone in there a couple times, and both times I tried to do a spin in the corner and just washed right out, but I feel like it's probably pretty good if you get it right. I just haven't figured it out yet. The right side of this rapid is dangerous. This big boulder that forms the right side is undercut. Also, many years ago, there was a kayaker who was going to catch this eddy right here, and he flipped over and got washed down to these rocks here, pulled his skirt, and ended up drowning. There was a strainer in there too at the time. I did see this shredder flip in that hole I was trying to surf in my kayak. The swimmers just got washed straight down the flume. The shredder ended up like way over on the right though, up against the undercut rock over there. I don't know that would happen the same way if the same sort of thing were to happen again, but it does seem like if you have trouble by that hole, you are getting pretty close to the danger zone. Here's the far left line from a kayak. I feel like it's just not as fast as the far right line. There's some nice hits going down here, but I guess you might be more likely to get surfed over on this side than on the far right, but it just doesn't feel as exciting to me. That hole at the bottom of the rapid is called Fiveboat hole. Really popular surf hole. I haven't figured out what I should be doing in there in my creek boat yet. Like getting in there in a side surf and moving around isn't too hard. It feels like there might be a spin spot in the middle, but I couldn't really like stay in the spot and do spins. It seems like playboaters usually surf it in the corners. Also, kayaks surfing this hole do get run over by rafts sometimes. It seems like by the time the boats can see each other, it's too late for either one to do anything about it. There's a couple gentler surf holes before the next rapid. Kayaks or rafts can surf these things. Next rapid is called Canyon Doors, and it's recognizable from these big notches on the cliff wall on the right. It's a pretty cool looking spot, actually. The main line through this one is over on the right. You just kind of follow the tongues and kind of tee up to everything and punch through the waves. It's a pretty fun line. It feels like some nice big hits in there, and it's kind of zooming right along, so I like it. You get to this spot, it's kind of a lull, but then there's another big hit down at the bottom. And for this next one, I feel like if you're not lined up right, you kind of scrape over some rock. I feel like if you're over here, like kind of where I am there, you're far enough left that you don't scrape the rock, but you still get a nice hit at the bottom there. There's a left line in this one as well. It's just kind of a steep move into some shallow stuff. It's more about knowing where you're supposed to be than the actual challenge of the move itself, I think. I find the right line to be more fun. There's also a surf hole over on the left at the bottom of this rapid. It's a real nice one, kind of fluffy. This is another one I haven't really figured out what I should be doing with my creek boat yet, but it is a pretty popular surf hole for playboats. So I'm trying to figure this one out too. The next rapid's called Junkyard. The standard line is to enter over on the far right here and just kind of run this line down the right-hand side. There's plenty other ways you can run this rapid, but I haven't really found anything that I think is particularly more fun than this right line, and most of the other places I've tried to run it, I've ended up scraping over some rocks, so I don't know, I usually just go right. After Junkyard, it slows down for quite a while. There's still rapids in there, but they're moving pretty slowly. I don't really know of any great lines to run in here. Eventually go under this railroad bridge. You'll go through a couple more chill rapids, and then this last one here actually has a pretty nice surf wave in it. After this one, you're coming into Upper Mash. Upper Mash has a long lead-in with a lot of shallow rocks in it. It's pretty easy for a kayak. You're just maneuverable enough and a small enough boat that they don't really pose any problem. You can pretty much go anywhere you want around these rocks. In a raft, though, especially a bigger raft, it is a pretty technical entrance that you kind of have to pay attention to and find a good route through. There's a booth that I really like over here on the left in my kayak. The raft line is a little farther right than this, but I like boofing this rock right here. One of my friends told me there was a second booth somewhere over here on the left, but I've never seen anything else that I was really excited to boof. Like most of the other things I've found over here look like they'd just be more abusive on your boat than anything fun to boof off of. So I'm not really sure. Lower Mash is just down below this. There is a notorious raft wrapping rock in Upper Mash. This is right of the boof, if you kind of stay over on the right, that rock right there. I believe that's the one. Here's Lower Mash. Rafts usually enter right between those two rocks there, and then come down the wave train. There's a really big wave right there, really huge hit, one of the biggest hits on the Lower Gauley. It's a awesome rapid. And then you can get right of those rocks right there. In my kayak, I usually come in a little further left than the raft slot. Then I'm just looking for that really big wave. There's a couple other ones before it. Yeah, it's right after this one here. You can just crush it in a kayak if you want to. It's a lot of fun to do that. Or you can kind of skirt around the left corner of it like that. I think that's pretty fun too. And then it's pretty easy to just go right of these rocks at the bottom here. But I like this line over here where you kind of come around these rocks and then go through this gap. After Lower Mash, it's pretty easy for the next straightaway. And then very quickly come up on diagonal ledges, which I think is the best surf on the Gauley River. Really nice for kayaks, great for surfboards actually. People come down here to surf it on surfboards as well. But yeah, it's just a big, fluffy hole. It's pretty retentive, but it's not violent. Yeah, it's super fun. I think it's best surf upper or lower Gauley. Sometimes there's long lines for this one. That is the downside, is like everybody likes it, so sometimes it's a while to wait your turn, but just a great surf. I'm always out here in a creek boat, so I just kind of do spins in it, and it's awesome for that, but people do great things on a play boat too. After a pretty good sized pool, you'll come to this rapid here. It's called Heaven's Gate, Heaven Help You. Rafts usually take this far left entrance here. In my kayak, I enter quite a bit farther to the right. It's just more direct, I feel like. You're picking your way through a lot of shallow rocks for quite a while. I feel like the beginning part of this rapid isn't that interesting. Coming up soon here, there's a big hole, and easiest thing is just stay left of it. But sometimes I like this line over here on the right. It's a little more interesting. It doesn't really look like it would be a good boof. There might be a line right down the middle, though. I'm not sure. I've always just stayed clear of it, though. And at the bottom of this rapid, there's a big rock on the left that used to flip rafts pretty frequently. The river changed. There's a big flood in 2016, and the river changed. That's the rock there. It doesn't flip rafts too often anymore, but it still does every now and then. Next rapid is Rocky Top, also known as the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This one, in general, the farther right you stay, the easier it is. Like this passage down the far right side is super chill. You start going a little farther left than that, the lines get a little more interesting. I like this one right here in my kayak. I feel like it's more interesting than the far right. Going farther than that, like I usually feel like I end up scraping my boat and I don't really find any line that's any better than that one I just ran. I did see these paddlers coming out this slot right here, and I tried to find my way over there the next day, but I didn't find it. It looked interesting. I'd like to try it. I don't have confidence I'd be able to get a real clean boof off of that thing. And then if you go farther left than that, it just looks like pretty ugly for quite a ways. I wouldn't really want to run any of that stuff. I did paddle down the far left one time just to see what was over there, and it was sort of interesting, but I don't think it was any better than that second line I showed you. In fact, I don't think it was as good. It feels like there ought to be a really cool creek line somewhere in this rapid, and maybe it's there, but I haven't found it yet. Right after Rocky Top, there's this boof on river left. Then next rapid is B.F.R. There's several different ways through these rocks that are kind of fun. I don't think any of them are amazing, but there's a few different ways to go through it that are sort of interesting. Upper Stairstep, easiest thing to do is just to stay left of everything in here, but I kind of like getting over to the right a little bit, and up here it's just some seams, but then coming down here, there's a move I like where you kind of weave between these two offset holes. It's coming up right here. You just stay right of that first hole and then get left of that second one, and it's a real fun move. It's a pretty narrow margin to get in there. I like it a lot. Lower Stairstep has a really fantastic wave surf in it. I've I just saw some kayakers doing this one a couple weeks ago, and it looked really cool, and so I've been trying it out lately. It's pretty hard to keep your kayak straight on this one. I mean, in a creek boat, I mean, I'm paddling a creek boat. So I'm trying to figure it out. You can get, like, if you start getting spun to the left, you can kind of redirect your nose back to the right a little bit off that wave like that. I went for a spin here, and I just washed off it. I didn't quite get the full spin, but it seems like a really awesome surf. So I'm excited to try that one more. Next rapid is roller coaster, just some pretty chill waves. Then you got cliffside. I like this move right here where you kind of use this wave to redirect your bow back to the right a little bit, but it's a pretty chill rapid. Cliffside and the next one after it, rattlesnake, you can go right or left, and I find the left lines more interesting. The last rapid before Pure Screaming Hell is called Rooster Tail for that rock with water fanning off of it on the right there. There's a surf that I really like in this rapid. When I'm catching the surf, I come in from the left side, and I try to eddy out behind this rock here, like come to a dead stop in that eddy. You could probably catch it from the river right side as well. And then I try to ferry out without picking up too much downstream momentum and get on this wave right here. It's very tricky to get on. Like, I miss it more often than I get it. But when you do get it, it's just a really fast, fun wave surf. Like, I'm just kind of trying to keep my boat straight and not get, popped off to either side. But yeah, I really like this surf. I think it's one of the better surfs on the lower Gauley. The next rapid is Pure Screaming Hell. There's a pretty long entrance, but the main thing to look out for is this hole, very last feature in the rapid. It'll flip rafts. Rafts can punch through it straight with momentum, but if they go in there a little bit sloppy, it can flip rafts, it can beat down kayaks. One of my friends tells me it's a good kayak surf, but he says you surf it on the river left side, like stay away from the rock on the river right side, but I'm not interested in pedaling my kayak into that thing. I don't have the courage to do that. There is a really nasty sieve on river right. Like, once you get to that big hole, you're clear of it, but this is the rock kind of to the right of that hole, and some of the water goes right around it, and that spot looks terrible. So if you have trouble in the top part of the rapid, you want to make sure you don't go into that. Here's the line from the top of the rapid. For the entrance, I'm just picking my way around these holes here. None of them are too bad, but they could jangle you around a little bit. It looks like there could be a line further left than this. There's a channel over there, but there isn't as much water. It doesn't look that interesting, so I've never tried it out. Then coming around this bend here, this is where you're coming into the crux. You got to wait until you're clear of that hole on the left right there, and then move left so you get left of the main hole at the bottom. You don't actually have to move that hard to the left if you're in the right spot. And then, yeah, once you're clear of that hole, you're through the rapid. The one thing I found in the entrance that is a little more interesting is to move right over here and then kind of cut back between these holes. It's sort of fun. I've also seen kayakers go left of that entry hole down this slow-moving channel here. It doesn't look really any easier to me than the main move. I guess it's moving slower. It lets up for a while after Pure Screaming Hell. It kind of feels like the run is over, but there is one more rapid. This is Kevin's Folly. There's plenty of ways through it. Up at the top, you can go way over on the right. I usually come just down sort of the center here, and then there's a hole at the bottom. It's kind of hiding behind a wave, but if you're on the far right side of this wave coming up, or right of the wave, then you clear the hole pretty well. And then after that, it's chill for quite a while, and eventually you'll come to Upper Swiss on the right. And that's the lower Gauley.